They left me out of Dad's while reading, so I showed them the real estate deeds. I stood in the hallway outside the lawyer's office, my palms clammy against the cold paper coffee cup I hadn't sipped from. Inside, my half-brothers and stepsisters were gathered, ready to hear how our father's estate would be divided. I was the last to arrive, not that anyone noticed. Maybe I should have expected this. For years, I was the quiet one, the other child from the woman Dad loved but never married. The polite nods and obligatory hugs never fooled me. I knew where I stood, on the outside, looking in. When I walked into the room, the air tensed, like everyone had just paused mid-thought. No one offered me a seat. I found a chair near the back, folding my coat over my lap like armor. The lawyer, a graying man named Mr. Halpern, adjusted his glasses and began reading. My name never came up. Not once. Not in the trust details. Not in the shares of Dad's stocks or the vintage car collection. Not even the cabin Dad and I used to fish at every summer. I felt like the walls were closing in, the oxygen leaving the room. I kept my face calm. Let them think I didn't care. Let them believe I was indifferent, detached, irrelevant. But as they clinked glasses afterward, congratulating themselves in hushed voices, I walked out into the cold January air, the ache in my chest sharp and undeniable. I went home that night and unlocked a small metal box hidden behind old books on a shelf. Inside were yellowed documents, handwritten letters, and the original real estate deeds my father had quietly signed over to me 6 years ago, properties he had bought in my name before his mind started to slip. There was the little art gallery downtown that I helped him renovate when I was 22. The duplex near the river that we fixed up together over weekends. And the land he used to say would be ours one day, all mine. Quietly, legally, and fully mine. But he never told the others. I stared at the documents, wondering what to do. I could confront them. Watch their smugness turn to confusion, then rage. Part of me wanted to. But another part, the part that remembered Dad holding my hand after Mom died, who read me poetry and made midnight pancakes when I couldn't sleep, knew that wasn't who he raised me to be. The next morning, I returned to the lawyer's office. Mr. Halpern looked surprised to see me. I placed the deeds on his desk and said quietly, I need to update the ownership structure. I want to create a trust. He blinked. You're giving the properties away? Not exactly, I said. I want them managed as affordable housing and community spaces. A few buildings can house shelters. One can stay a gallery, it's important to support local art. And I want the duplexes renovated for single mothers and veterans. You can draft the papers, right? He nodded slowly, then said, Your father would be proud of this. That sentence broke something open in me. The dam of bitterness, resentment, and hurt I'd held back finally collapsed, but instead of drowning, I felt free. A few weeks later, the news reached my family. Some called. Some didn't. One brother left a voicemail, accusing me of manipulating Dad in his last lucid years. I didn't respond. But a letter came, weeks later, from Emily, my youngest stepsister. Just 13 when our dad passed, she had been quiet at the will reading, watching everything with wide, uncertain eyes. Dear Ava, it began. I found out what you did. And I just want to say, thank you. My best friend's mom might get one of the apartments. She's been living in her car. I didn't know Dad did that for you. But I think he knew you'd do something good with it. I think he knew you best. I hope we can talk. That letter meant more to me than any part of the will ever could. Over the months, the properties transformed. Volunteers signed up, local nonprofits partnered, and slowly the spaces turned from investments to sanctuaries. I met families moving into their first stable homes in years. I watched kids draw murals on walls that once stood empty. I saw the flicker of hope return to tired eyes. And through it all, I felt closer to Dad, not the man in the suit at the board meetings, but the one who sang off-key in the truck and made ugly birdhouses with me. One spring afternoon, at the opening of the refurbished community garden, a woman came up to me with tears in her eyes. "You don't know me," she said, "but your father helped my husband get back on his feet years ago. Gave him a job when no one else would. He never talked much about it, but I just wanted to say, thank you. For continuing what he started." That was the moment I understood. The will may have been words on paper, a summary of assets, but it wasn't Dad's legacy. I was. And what I chose to do with what he gave me, quietly, personally, with trust, was more powerful than any courtroom or check. In time, my family stopped whispering. Some came to the events. A few volunteered. Emily began interning at the gallery during the summers, blossoming into a young artist. We never talked about the will again. We didn't need to. You see, the truth is, sometimes the things left out of a will speak louder than what's written in. I didn't need my name in bold on a document to know where I stood with my father. He saw me, believed in me, and gave me something far more valuable than stocks or cars. He gave me purpose, trust, and the quiet hope that I would choose compassion over pride. And I did. Because sometimes, the greatest inheritance isn't money or property. It's the opportunity to build something that outlives us. To turn pain into purpose. To answer betrayal with generosity. So yes, they left me out of Dad's will reading. But I showed them the real estate deeds, not with anger, but with grace. Not to prove a point, but to prove a legacy. And that made all the difference.